think that failure is potentially, and for a lot of people, not something that's beneficial, but only because they are not thoughtful about it. Hey there, friend. Welcome to my January 13th. Just finished up my morning routine here. Feels good to do that. I've been pretty consistent with that this week, and so that's feeling good after I kind of set that intention after last week that I wanted to make sure I was getting around to it. So one thing I wanted to share here specifically from the readings that I did, I guess both books today had something. So we've got the Daily Stoic from here. It essentially is just the message both yesterday and today, which is ironic because of what I shared in yesterday's video, is the only thing you have control over is your mind. The way that you relate to life, the way that you manage your thoughts and your emotions, that's literally the only thing you can control. Like even your own physical body, he pointed out, is not fully under your control because you can have an illness, you can get hurt. Something that I know very much from dealing with my own kind of chronic health issues. So that was interesting for one. And then, but the other thing that I really wanted to share with the Tools of Titans book here, a little passage I'm going to read you. What's interesting is how you can really respect people and disagree with them, like wholeheartedly. Or, like what I'm going to share with this, is like not only disagree with them wholeheartedly in one area, but be super appreciative and in full agreement of them in another area. So I read the little segment here from Peter Thiel, uber successful guy, right? And I quickly want to say, like, I don't think that just because people are successful means that they are smart or full of wisdom. I think that they are smart in the right ways, but I don't necessarily look up to those people as like gods that I need to figure out how to be like them. But I do obviously respect where they're coming from because they do know something that I don't, or have acted on things that I have not. So the question that Tim had posed, Tim Ferriss, was how important is failure in business? And Peter Thiel goes to say, I think failure is massively overrated. He said some other things, but the thing that I really didn't agree with here, and I'm kind of curious on your take on this. So after this, if you want to comment below, I would love to know how you feel. I think people actually do not learn very much from failure. I think it ends up being quite damaging and demoralizing to people in the long run, and my sense is that the death of every business is a tragedy. He is kind of speaking specifically to businesses, as Tim had mentioned in the question, but I think that this still kind of applies. It's not some sort of beautiful aesthetic when there's a lot of carnage, but that's how progress happens, and it's not some sort of educational imperative. So I think failure is neither a Darwinian nor an educational imperative. Failure is always simply a tragedy. Now, maybe, to give him the benefit of the doubt, he is talking about failure in business. But I think even that is something that I don't agree with. I think that this is possible. I think that failure is potentially, and for a lot of people, not something that's beneficial, but only because they are not thoughtful about it. I do truly believe that failure, and especially micro failures, because that's how we learn, that's how we grow, that is Darwinian in my understanding of failure, so I'm not really sure where he's coming from with that. Obviously, I can't have a conversation with him about this But that is evolution, right? Like that is, you have to go through little failures in order to grow. Maybe that's not how evolution works. And if, you can prove me wrong with that, or like if you have evidence to suggest that I am wrong, because I very well may be when it comes to that, I'd be happy to know. But the point being, if you are thoughtful about failures, macro and micro, that you can grow from that. And that is how we grow. That's how we become stronger. That's how we learn things. And I just think that's a powerful thing, to be able to fail at something, or even if not flat out fail, to not fully succeed at something, and to be able to sit with that, contemplate that, analyze that, and pull things from that in order to move and go forwards. Now, the other thing that he mentioned that I absolutely loved, and this is something that I see in people in general, especially in a capitalistic society where we learn that, what the hell's going on over here? We learn that progress and achieving and winning is the way to be successful. He says, because I wrote this down, he says, how do I become less competitive in order to become more successful? How do I become less competitive so that I become more successful? That's some fucking good shit right there. And here's why. You think that you need to be competitive to be successful, and you do in some regard. However, when you become so focused on one thing and you put all your energy into one thing, you may, that desire and need for competition may start to not allow you to see things outside of that. And therefore, you may eventually win at this thing, but then if that game goes away, or if you don't indeed win at that, or you don't enjoy winning at that, then you're screwed in other areas, because you haven't built up you haven't spent any energy in any other area. So now you're stuck. You've been pigeonholed into one thing. And I find this with high achieving individuals, capital A achievers, like myself, my wife, my friends, my clients. It's a very, very much a big thinker, deep feeler trait, which is you can easily become good at something that you don't actually care about, which leaves you in a place where you're sitting there wondering, what the fuck am I actually doing? So again, I'm curious if you've experienced this. Let me know what that's looked like in your life. And the other thing I want to say on this topic, I love that quote in general. I think it's really something to, if you resonate with being a high achiever, something to sit with. But another thing I just want to offer you that I always say to people like me, because I've learned this lesson deeply, and of course I've worked with people through this, is just because you're good at something does not mean that you need to or should do it. Just because you're good at something doesn't mean you should do it. There's your permission slip to stop trying so hard at something that you maybe don't even care that much about. Anyways, that was a little bit longer than I was expecting, but par for the course. That's my brand. Yeah. Here we are at the old familiar gas pump, because it's Thursday night, and you know what Thursday through Sunday is. Uber Eats time, baby. But yeah, I wanted to film more than I ended up filming today, but had a bunch of stuff I needed to get done in the afternoon. It actually ended up being a very productive day. yeah, just felt like way more momentum with the job stuff than I did yesterday, just feeling like a complete 180 from where I was at. Yeah, I mean, it just helps to feel like you actually have momentum, feel like progress is being made, and yeah, and what it took to get to that point is just like I put out a Facebook and LinkedIn blast, just like posting that I'm looking for a full-time job, would love support, and that did it. So just remembering to ask for help and just do the thing that's going to like get you a result, get you moving in the direction that you need to, and what do you know, shit starts happening. So anyways, I am hopeful to bring some of the stuff tomorrow that I wanted to talk about today, but thanks for hanging out, and I will see you then.